I stopped paying the vet bills the week my brother told the clinic the dog is his. Bear is a 9-year-old German Shepherd. He was our dad's dog. When Dad passed 2 years ago, my brother Danny couldn't take him because his building doesn't allow big dogs, so Bear came home with me. I paid for everything. Food, shots, the good joint stuff, the dental cleaning that cost $600. Danny would come by maybe once a month and say, "How's my boy?" And I never thought much of it. He was Dad's dog, so in a way he was all of ours. Then Bear started limping. I took him in and the vet felt around his hip and got quiet. She said it was likely a torn ligament and maybe some arthritis underneath, and she wanted to do imaging. The imaging was $400. It showed he needed surgery. She said around $4,200, and that at 9 he'd probably need a second one on the other side down the road. I said do the surgery. I didn't even think about it. While I was in the waiting room filling out the pre-op forms, the front desk girl looked at her screen and said, "Oh, we actually have him under a different owner now." I said what? She said someone came in last week and updated the file. Danny. He'd told them the dog was his, gave them his address, his number, said he was the owner going forward. I called him from the parking lot. I said, "Why does the clinic think Bear is your dog?" He got weird. He said Dad left Bear to him technically, and he'd been meaning to make it official. I said Dad didn't leave a will. He said everyone knew Bear was supposed to be mine. Here's the thing. Danny's girlfriend has a kid who's obsessed with dogs, and for months he'd been posting Bear on his profile like Bear lived with him. My dog Bear. Me and my boy. Pictures from the one afternoon a month he actually showed up. He wanted to be the guy with the dog. He just didn't want the dog. So I said, okay, if Bear is yours, Bear is yours. I went back inside. I told the desk I wasn't the owner and I wasn't authorizing anything, and since the file said Danny was the owner, they'd need his approval and his card for the surgery. The girl looked confused, but she updated it. I paid the $400 I already owed for the imaging and I left. That was the week I stopped paying. The clinic called Danny that afternoon for authorization. He called me at 8 p.m. He said, "The vet's saying I owe $4,200. What did you tell them?" I said I told them the truth. The owner has to authorize the surgery. He's the owner. He put himself down as the owner. He said, "You know I can't pay that." I said, "I know." He said I was being petty, that Bear needed the surgery and I was just going to let him suffer to make a point. I said, "Bear isn't suffering. Bear is at my house right now sleeping on the couch with his leg propped on a pillow." I said, "You told everyone he's your dog. You put your name on the file. So he's your dog. Pay for your dog's surgery." He said, "So you're just done? After 2 years?" I said, "I was never done. You made him yours last week on paper. I've got the imaging bill that says I'm not." He went quiet. Then he said fine, he'd figure it out, and hung up. He didn't figure it out. He called the clinic and had them switch the owner back to me. The girl called and asked if that was okay. I said no. I said I'm not the owner. Danny's the owner, and if he keeps changing it back and forth, someone should probably ask him why he only wanted to be the owner before there was a bill. My mom got involved. She called and said family takes care of family and I should just pay it and stop the drama. I said Danny can take care of family, he's family, and Bear's his dog, he told everyone. She said that's different. I said it's exactly the same, just the other direction. Danny came by the house Saturday. He said he wanted to talk about Bear. He stood in my kitchen and told me he'd let me keep Bear, like he was doing me a favor if I just covered the surgery. I said Bear was never his to give me. Then I handed him the folder from the clinic. Owner, his name, his address, his phone number, surgery estimate unpaid, due to the owner of record. He hasn't posted a picture of Bear in 3 weeks.